You are at the well before dawn, and the rope comes up dry. You let it down again past where the water has always been, and it comes up dry a second time. Behind you, the millstone donkey has stopped. He will not walk the circle. He stands rigid, ears flat, staring at the mountain. And the master's oldest slave, who has drawn this water for 40 years, stands very still, looking at the same mountain, saying nothing. He knows what this means. You don't. You only know the dough is proofing, the fire is lit, and the day's bread will not bake itself. You are a pistor, a baker, in a Roman town on the bay. Beneath a green mountain everyone calls an ordinary hill. You are a free man who is not free yet. You bought yourself out of slavery on credit, and you still owe the master the price of your own name, due at harvest. He has left you the keys and gone to the coast. Today's loaves are the takings. The takings are the harvest. The harvest is your freedom. And so, with the well gone dry and the donkey screaming and the old man staring at the hill, you do the only thing a man with a debt can do. You go in and you start the bread. You will spend this whole day choosing the bread over the mountain. The well is dry because the mountain drank the water through the rock. The animals are screaming because they hear what you cannot. And the 81 loaves you are about to bake are the only thing on earth that will still be here in 2,000 years, pulled out of your cold oven exactly where you left them. Level 1. The Dry Well. A Roman bakery is a small factory, and it is yours to run alone today. In the back, 2 high volcanic millstones turned by a blindfolded donkey walking his endless circle, grinding grain to flour. At the front, the great domed brick oven, already roaring. You carry water from the cistern because the well gave you nothing. You tell yourself the well has gone dry before. You are lying to yourself, and some animal part of you already knows it. Level 2. The master's order. 81 loaves by midday for a banquet paid in advance. Each one round and flat, scored from the center into 8 wedges so it can be torn by hand, and stamped on top. In this town, a baker presses his mark into the crust so the bread can be known. Your name in the dough. You have made this bread 10,000 times. Your hands do not need you for it, which is good because your mind keeps going to the window. Level 3. The first tremor. You are wrists deep in dough when the floor moves, not a shudder, but a slow heave, as if the whole town took a breath that came up through the stone. The flour dust jumps off the table. The donkey screams a sound you have never heard an animal make. A jar walks itself off a shelf and breaks, and then it stops, and the silence after is worse than the shaking. The ground does that here, you tell yourself. It did, 4 times this week. You go back to the dough because the debt does not care that the ground moved. Level 4. The column. It is near midday, the last loaf in the oven, when the light changes and the sun does not dim like clouds. You step into the street and look up, and the green hill is gone. In its place, a single column of black smoke climbs straight up out of the summit, miles high, and at the top it spreads flat and wide until the whole thing stands over the bay in the shape of a pine tree. An umbrella pine, an old man will say, and years from now, a boy named Pliny the Younger, watching this same cloud from across the water, will write it down exactly so in the only eyewitness letters that survive. You only know the sky has grown a tree of smoke, and your bread has 11 minutes left. Level 5. Bread for the road. And here, for one breath, you win. You make the decision that makes you, for a moment, a man with a plan instead of a man with a debt. You will finish the bread. You pull the loaves while the street fills with people pointing at the sky, and the crust is perfect, scored and stamped, and gold. You wrap a dozen hot loaves in cloth, and you run for the Phalonica across town, where your wife treads cloth in the vats, because you are not leaving without her. You find her in the doorway with wet arms and a frightened face, and you press the warm bread into her hands, and you say the only true thing you have ever said: "We are going to make it." For one breath, you believe it. Level 6. The sky turns to stone. Then the sky begins to fall, not ash, not yet, but stone. Light gray pumice the size of gravel, then the size of grapes, rattling down on the tile roofs of the whole town at once. A hail that does not melt and does not stop. The column has stopped climbing and started collapsing, and what went up is coming down, and it is piling. On the roofs, it gathers inch over inch, and you understand the thing nobody understands until it is too late. The roofs are going to come down. Not from fire, from weight. You pull your wife under a colonnade and you run through a town being buried alive in its own gray snow, and you cannot see the gate. You cannot see the harbor, only the stone coming down. Level 7, the choice at the door. You come to a strong stone-arched doorway, and here is the choice that kills more people than the mountain ever did. Outside, the falling stone is knee-deep, and the roofs are groaning, and the dark is coming on at midday. Inside, a cellar below the street, shelter. Every instinct you own says, get under something, wait for it to pass. So you choose the door. You pull your wife down the steps into the dark with a dozen strangers, and you wait for it to stop. It is the most reasonable decision a man can make. It is the one that seals the town. The stone is only the mountain clearing its throat. Level 8, the night with no stars. Outside, the day ends though it is still afternoon, a darkness. Pliny the Younger will write, not like a moonless night, but like a sealed room with the lamp blown out. You cannot see your wife's face a hand's width away. Far down the coast at Stabiae, an old admiral named Pliny the Elder, who sailed his fleet toward this mountain to pull people off the beaches, is lying on the shore, unable to breathe the same air you are breathing, and is about to die in it. You only know your wife's hand is in yours and shaking, and you squeeze it, so she will not be afraid, in the dark, with no stars. Level 9, the air that kills. And then, near dawn, the column finally falls all the way down, and what comes down the slope is not stone and is not smoke. It is a wall, a ground-hugging avalanche of ash and gas at several hundred degrees, moving across the plain faster than a man can run, faster than a galloping horse, a pyroclastic surge. It reaches the walls in seconds. It pours in under the stone and over the roofs and into the cellar through every crack, and it is not the burning that takes you and your wife, it is faster than burning. One breath of air that is not air. You are holding her hand the whole time, and the night that had no stars simply ends. Level 10, the loaves in the oven. Centuries pass. The town is gone, not ruined, gone, sealed under 20 feet of ash. A name on no map. And then, almost 2,000 years later, men with brushes and trowels dig down through the gray and find it all, held exactly. And in one bakery, in a cold brick oven that was never opened, they find 81 round loaves of bread, scored into 8 wedges, turned to black carbon and light as cinder baked that last morning, by a man with a debt, and left to finish in an oven that finished them so well they are still here, the day's takings, the price of his freedom, the morning's work that outlived the man by 20 centuries. They do not find your name. The stamp that would have carried it, the one thing meant to outlive the morning, is carbon now, and unreadable, so you become the bread. 2,000 years of strangers file past a glass case, look at 81 black loaves, and move on to the casts of the bodies, which is the part they came to see. Nobody thinks of the well that was dry before dawn. Nobody thinks of the donkey that would not walk the circle. Nobody thinks of the wife with wet arms, or the warm bread pressed into her hands, or the words "we are going to make it," said once, truly, in a town that had 8 hours left. Another life history for God is waiting. Subscribe.